people of the world. Marketing is a foreign language. Wednesday, July 22nd. I can't believe it. You can't believe it. No one can believe it. So much happy. Google delays mobile first index rollout. 5 reasons why. Why the heck would they delay a mobile index rollout? Am I right? Q3 ad revenue results. Snap and the Facebook anticipation. How to use content pruning. What is it? And how to use it for SEO. ADA compliance for websites. A beginner's guide. That's what we need. From Kim Krausberg at Search Engine Journal. Instagram launches personal fundraisers to provide assistance for businesses and causes during COVID-19. Instagram, you can give me your money if you like. US bans TikTok on all government-issued devices due to concerns around connection with China. Oh my gosh. LinkedIn to cut 6% of global workforce due to impacts of COVID-19. LinkedIn to cut 6%. Wow. Pinterest releases new data on rising search trends among COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, oh me, oh my, this is marketing as a foreign language, and it begins right now. Okay, mobile first index rollout. Google's delaying mobile first index rollout, advising fixing these 5 issues to avoid ranking disruptions. So to give y'all a heads up on what happened, Google created something called mobile first indexing, which basically means that they're going to take a look at your mobile site first. The reason, of course, is that more people use mobile sites than they do desktop in today's environment. So it makes sense that Google would index mobile first. So mobile first index rollout, when it's happening. The announcement states that most sites today are currently set to mobile, as well as all new sites having their indexing set to mobile by default. There are many sites that remain outside of mobile first indexing. For those sites that have not yet been switched over, Google has discovered that there remain issues to be resolved. Those issues that Google discovered are the reasons why Google is delaying mobile first indexing until March 2021. What? Mobile first indexing was set to roll out in September 2020. That's no longer the case. Perhaps I have misinformed you. Mobile first problems to watch out for. Google listed important issues to check even if you're already in the mobile index. So some are not. It may be useful to review the issues called out by Google because some of these can cause a drop in rankings. 5 mobile first issues to review. Oh my goodness gracious. This is going to get plenty technical real quick. Robots meta tag, we've talked about that, which is the file on your website that prevents the Google spiders from calling certain things. Lazy loading on mobile version, not sure what that means. Blocked assets specific to mobile. Primary content must match between mobile and desktop. Interesting. Mobile images and videos follow best practices. Okay. So Google advises checking mobile robots tags, as sometimes they can be different. That's something for the web developer to check out. Mobile lazy loading. Regarding lazy loading, Google recommends to watch out for lazy loading primary content that depends on triggers. What's that mean? This is because Googlebot doesn't trigger user-initiated events. This is what Google said. Avoid lazy loading your primary content based on user interactions like swiping, clicking, or typing because Googlebot won't trigger these user interactions. We need to go ahead and take a look at lazy loading. Let's dive right in. Hey, Google machine, lazy loading. Talk to me. Lazy loading, also known as asynchronous loading, is a design pattern commonly used in computer programming to defer initialization of an object until the point at which it is needed. It can contribute to efficiency in the program's operation if properly and appropriately used, but it can also apparently cause SEO problems When someone adds a resource to a web page, image, video, etc., the resource references a small placeholder. Okay, interesting. So lazy loading could be something to mess up your rankings on mobile. Blocked mobile assets. This is a reference to mobile assets, images, videos, fonts, CSS, JavaScript, etc. that might be called from a different URL than from the desktop version. This is super important because inadvertently blocking something like CSS on the mobile version of your site can cause a rankings drop. Whoa, this is super technical stuff. Blocked mobile assets. Huh. A reference to mobile assets that might be called from a different URL. This is an article you would want to send to your web developer. Primary content must match between mobile and desktop. Sometimes publishers change the content. Publishers are required to show the same primary content between the two versions. Primary content is the main content. Okay, interesting. Mobile images and videos must follow best practices. So you want images optimized for mobile, obviously. Image alt attributes, those are attributes that you can add in the back end of the website. These are used for folks who cannot see the image. You're describing the image, different image URLs for mobile. So you don't want different image URLs, obviously. You want those to be the same. Video structured data markup, video and image placement. Okay, this is definitely a send to the web developer article. Yes, that is what this is. Too technical, too in the weeds. Q3 ad revenue results. Snap and the Facebook anticipation. Despite healthy growth due to the COVID quarantine, signs are pointing to a bumpy Q3 for Snapchat. All eyes are also on Facebook for their Q3 report. Snap had a nice 17% revenue bump in Q2, fueled by the stay-at-home orders during the COVID-19 outbreak. Despite this, they are tempering expectations for continued growth in Q3. Their caution is something that is likely to be reflected across all platforms as the coronavirus drags on. Snap's declining uptick. Snap was already showing growth prior to COVID. It beat estimates in Q2 with a 17% year-over-year growth in revenue. That's substantial. Q3 also had a very bullish start in daily active users initially, but the number dropped as society reopened. Based on their commentary, it also sounds as though the type of decline observed wasn't anticipated. Quote, "This initial lift dissipated faster than we anticipated," Derek Anderson, Snap CFO. The decline has led to Snap's caution about the expected daily active user growth for third quarter. They are projecting a DAU, which is, again, daily active user increase, to somewhere between 242 million to 244 million. Considering in Q2 they were at 238 million daily active users, this is a noticeably slower growth rate. Wow. So projected ad revenue for Q3, there are a lot of unknowns heading into Q3, and that's true for every platform. Seasonal events that retailers rely on are completely disrupted, such as football season and back to school. The economy and unemployment rates are also still a huge question mark, which can mean tightening purse strings from consumers. Man. Whether the Facebook boycott means dollars could be earmarked for Snap is also a factor that wasn't counted for. That is true. As Facebook is not getting the love Snapchat would be, presuming they spend the money or just choose not to. I think there might be an argument for this Facebook boycott saying that they just don't want to spend the money, and it's also convenient that they're boycotting Facebook at the same time, but it's also a way to scale back their ad spend. So they may simply not be spending it on Snapchat at all. Facebook's Q2 earnings will not be announced until July 29th, but some projections are claiming losses in ad revenue exceeding 20%. That's crazy since the end of June. As of yesterday, 435 brands had pulled their spend, though not all have officially tied it to the boycott. Disney was among them after spending $210 million on Facebook in the previous 6 months for the launch of Disney+. Bloomberg also recently reported that blocking political ads for the 2020 election is not off the table, a move that would further dent their ad revenue. Will the money be reallocated to Snap or other platforms? Only time will tell. Yep, that is correct. Needless to say, anticipation for the Q3 Facebook results are high, and it will tell the tale of how the boycott is affecting them after competition heated back up in the end of May, driving ad prices higher than pre-pandemic in some sectors. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Content pruning. What is it and how to use it for SEO? I'm going to roll back to this. So Facebook. What are they going to do? Facebook seeing a decline in ad revenue. You know what? It's one of these situations where you've got these companies that just grow and grow and grow, and they become monolithic, and then they are asked to do things that they never intended to do. Facebook is being asked to police the information of the world, which is an impossible job. They're going to get it wrong. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg, when he made his first billion, thought that he'd be testifying regularly in front of Congress, and yet there he is. So it's hard to feel bad for them because they have all the money. It is hard to feel bad for them given how explosively they've grown in recent years. But to see them decline, to see them starting to feel some of the pain, I think is an indicator of the situation we find ourselves in. I think it's an indicator that the next 3 to 6 months are going to get real. I think the next 3 to 6 months are going to be, how to describe what's going to transpire. I think a lot of these companies used their banning of Facebook as a win-win for them. They don't want to spend the money on Facebook, and they also can make it cause marketing, which is why they probably made that decision. It's twofold. And so with Facebook dropping, the question, of course, is how precipitously will Facebook decline and how long will it last? So after Q3 earnings come out, let's presume that it drops because the earnings aren't good. Would you buy the stock at that point? Would it be wise? Questions to contemplate. Content pruning. What is it and how to use it for SEO? Removing old content can do wonders for your SEO. Learn how to weed out outdated content and polish up the new in this guide to content pruning. Oh, joy of joys. I think content pruning might be the most annoying possible thing that one could do related to a blog. I would argue that it's more annoying than writing the blog itself. On May 4th, 2020, in the midst of a pandemic and general chaos, Google rolled out another core algorithm update. Cool. The May 2020 core update was the second core update of the year. It's come during a time in which COVID-19 has dramatically altered many users' search behavior. Verticals like media, finance, food, and healthcare saw major upswings in website traffic, whereas travel, transportation, and construction saw major dips. We have observed that this core update aligns with Google's ever-growing emphasis on high-quality content, freshness, and EAT. I need to look that up again. EAT. What does EAT stand for? I simply do not recall. EAT, Google. It stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. That's right, which is a ridiculous acronym. So just expertise. It just means expertise. Okay. So Google stated about core updates, they're designed to ensure that overall we're delivering on our mission to present relevant and authoritative content to searchers. Let's be clear. Earlier today, I was on a call with the University of Nevada, Reno. It wasn't a call. It was like a panel where I talked about what Google does. And let's be clear. Google sells links. Okay? This is Google's primary function, is to sell links. So yes, they are trying to provide a service which is great content so that they can sell you more links. Links to websites. So as Google pushes this forward, as they consistently try to have the best websites rank in the top 10 positions, just remember, in their hearts of hearts, they're trying to make some money. What happens when information on your site is outdated or no longer accurate or relevant? Well, based on what we've seen with this latest core update, your website will likely struggle to rank organically. If your website has a wealth of old blog posts, product pages, announcements, etc., then now is the time to prune. Is it though? In other words, you want Google and other search engines to see the content they can trust, not the old stuff you're no longer prouder. But okay, let me ask you this then. If you're telling me, Search Engine Journal, if you're telling me that Google can't understand what an old piece of content is, then we have a problem. If you can't go into WordPress and simply realize that this post is buried under 700 other posts, if Google does not realize that a post that is super old is just super old, then apparently I don't understand Google. I mean, seriously, are you trying to tell me that humanity in 2020 should be focused on going back to old blog posts and pruning them? We want to talk about removing content as a method of value growth. Ugh. Removing old content. Value growth. Who uses the words value and growth together? Value growth? Buzzwords. So many buzzwords. Do we prune content? This is the question. My argument is why? If Google can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth in a YouTube video because they auto caption into English, if Google is capable of looking at an image and understanding that it's not just a plane, it's a Cessna 152. If Google, with its infinite money, thinks that we should all collectively prune old blog content, I think they're out of their mind. Shout out to Lydia Bosky Heater, Distinctive Insurance. Go ahead and get your quote with Lydia Bosky. Lydia, why don't you put your information in chat? Do it, Lydia. Lydia is the vice president of the BNI chapter, that of which I happen to be the president. Who knew that I would be the president of a BNI chapter? Whoever made that decision must have had been drinking. So, do we prune old content? According to the article, it's time to weed out the old and polish up the new, especially during a time when everyone is looking for information they can trust. I would argue that it is not worth our time. Okay. What is content pruning? Essentially, content pruning involves removing low-performing, obsolete content from your website's archives. Here's another question. If you have Facebook links to old content and you remove the old content, you're creating broken links on the internet. Why would you do that? If you had a blog post and you shared it on LinkedIn, Facebook, there were some images from Pinterest, Twitter, and those links are still floating out in the ether. Well, guess what? Now you're creating a bunch of broken backlinks. I don't understand why you would do that. The content isn't doing your website any favors now, so it's better to trim the unhealthy growth than to let it sit stagnant, according to the Search Engine Journal. Keep in mind that not all old content is bad. Some can still be useful and provide authority to your website. However, content that is outdated, lacking in timely value, thin, or unpopular has no place lingering on your website. Show me some data. Okay? Show me a ranking report where you went in and you pruned 100 articles. 100 articles that, by the way, had links from Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. Show me that, and show me like ranking from like position 7 to position 2. You know what I'm saying? That's what I really want to see. Short of that, I am skeptical. I am skeptical. Why must you prune periodically? Why must we prune at all? When we discuss content pruning, we're not talking about a one and done spring cleaning event. We're talking about a continual ongoing cleanup process. Think of content pruning as landscaping. The longer you go in between service, the more weeds and ugly growth have time to take over. I happen to think weeds reduce greenhouse gas emissions by absorbing carbon dioxide. I happen to like weeds. Thank you very much. Many companies simply leave old content on their site to gather dust. Well, they don't. They're digital, and their rankings suffer as a result. But do they? Take a look at the analytics from 2 of our clients below. Data. Thank goodness. Clearly, the May 2020 Goo Core update had an impact. Impressions and clicks both dropped after the update was released. Well, here's your principal question. Why did your rankings drop? Was the content you were creating previously garbage content? Why did it drop initially? It should never drop in the first place if you were creating good content the whole time. You understand what I'm saying? Like, why did it drop? Are you telling me you had a bunch of bad content that you made in the past and now you're getting rid of that bad content that you made, and because you got rid of that bad content, now it's going to go up? Because that's ridiculous. Don't make the bad content in the first place. As we tried to understand which aspect of the update was driving down this client's results, we realized something. One of the root causes was outdated, thin content. Okay, if you inherit a website with garbage, old content, then yes, I suppose you could make the argument. We are talking about blogs that are shorter in length and lack real value or relevant information. Once we conducted a content pruning session, we realized that clicks and impressions began to level out at their regular levels. However, as newer content becomes outdated in the next year or two, this process will need to happen again. I don't know. Obviously, we believe that Google's latest core update has sparked a dire need for regular content pruning. Still, we encourage you to clean old content. I'm not. Okay. I am not sold. Not sold on content pruning. Call me crazy. Not sold. ADA compliance for websites, a beginner's guide. Look at this lady. This lady wants access. Can you see that? Get access. She wants access, folks. She's got a lovely cup of water. She's gonna hit that enter button. I'm stoked for this lady. Kim Kraus-Berg writes, the lack of websites and mobile apps that pass accessibility compliance standards was disappointing news for accessibility advocates. When schools and businesses closed due to COVID-19, the public turned to the web for supplies, services, education, information, and access to their jobs. What they discovered were websites and apps they could not use. A friend of mine, Dr. Stefik at UNLV, works specifically with this. I wish he were here. ADA accessibility complaints and lawsuits. Sometimes the first indication that a website is not accessible is a complaint letter sent by a law firm on behalf of a plaintiff who could not use it. If you are new to website accessibility, the legal ramifications of not providing an accessible website are important to know. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, when it was first established as law 30 years ago, did not include the term website. So this is going to very quickly go into the weeds. This is not something we are going to be able to cover in its totality. The World Wide Web Consortium's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines are the recommended guidelines. So here you have the recommended guidelines. They are not regulations or laws. Accessible content must be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust, apparently. So, wow, this is tough. I know someone in my network that does accessibility training. That might be something, not the training, but actually fixes this for websites. So you've got design practices for the blind or deaf, cognition or learning difficulties, etc. So this is something that you may want to dive into and understand at a higher level. Not something I'm going to be able to do today. Instagram launches personal fundraisers to provide assistance for businesses and causes during COVID-19. Instagram is rolling out a new personal fundraiser option to help people and businesses raise money for selected causes amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Instagram. Okay. As explained by Instagram, quote, starting today, we're rolling out a new way to raise money for a personal cause like yourself, your small business, a friend, or a cause that's important to you. We'll begin with a small test to create a personal fundraiser in the US, UK, and Ireland on Android, followed by iOS. If you live in a country where you can donate to a fundraiser through our donation sticker, you are also eligible to donate to a personal fundraiser on Android starting today. So apparently, all you have to do is go to the Instagram profile, tap Edit Profile, tap Add Fundraiser, and then raise money. Wow. Well, there you have it. Different categories: medical, personal emergency, family, business, pets, animals, faith, other. So it looks like you can raise some money. Quote, since January, people have raised more than $100 million for the COVID-19 fundraisers globally across Instagram and Facebook, while in the last 30 days, donations on Instagram have doubled. In the U.S., we've also seen a large wave of digital activism responding to the global conversation around racial justice, etc. So it turns out that it is very easy to set up a fundraiser on Instagram. Let it be known. U.S. bans TikTok on all government-issued devices due to concerns around connection with China. If I recall correctly, whatever you copied on your clipboard was something that TikTok could see. Obviously, TikTok is a Chinese-based company, app, and they've got different rules about what is acceptable and what's not. There have been various lawsuits about information collected for minors and that sort of thing with TikTok. In another concerning sign for TikTok, the U.S. House of Representatives voted on Monday to have the app banned from all government-issued devices due to concerns around data collection and potential spying by Chinese authorities. As reported by Politico, quote, lawmakers voted 336 to 71 to pass the proposal offered by Representative Ken Buck as part of a package of bipartisan amendments to the National Defense Authorization Act. The prohibition would extend to members of Congress and congressional staff. Representative Buck, in his speech, announced the proposal called TikTok a, quote, serious national security threat, once again underlining the app's precarious position in the eyes of U.S. authorities, which could eventually lead to a full ban of the platform. TikTok recently opened up a business option and advertising. So this is terrible timing for TikTok. I don't know if TikTok has stock as a Chinese company. Let's take a look. TikTok stock. No. Can you buy? There is no TikTok symbol. Right. So in terms of investing, it doesn't really matter for you unless somehow you found a way to invest in the company. As U.S. President Donald Trump has additionally noted, the U.S. is considering a TikTok ban as punishment. Okay. Lydia Bosky writes, so do I still need to delete my account? Don't they have my info already? I removed them from my phone, now moving to deleting the account online. Wow. Well, there you have it. We have Lydia in chat, the incredible Lydia Bosky, Heater, Distinctive Insurance, saying that she is out. She is jumping ship, which I totally understand. I don't know what you can do to prevent them from using the information they already have on you. I think that's just kind of a done deal. If you are concerned about your information being shared with the Chinese government, then perhaps getting off of TikTok makes sense. Everything I'm seeing here is that a lot of folks are quite upset with TikTok. As reported by Axios, quote, TikTok's U.S. job growth has already nearly tripled this year, going from almost 500 employees to just under 1,400. The company plans to hire for jobs in engineering, sales, content moderation, and customer service, with a focus on growing workforces in California, New York, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. So will they continue to grow? Who knows? This is interesting times to be sure. Oh my gosh, we are 28 minutes into the show. So let's go ahead and summarize. Google has delayed their mobile-first index rollout. This basically means you should talk to your web developer and make sure that your website is very mobile-friendly. This particular article gets into the weeds as to what you should do to make sure that it is mobile-friendly. Just do the sniff test. Go to your mobile site, make sure that it's functioning properly, and then look up articles like this one, which I will put into the chat so y'all can grab it for later. And have them make sure that everything is on the up and up. Q3 ad revenue results for Snapchat and Facebook. So there was a bumpy Q3 for Snapchat. They usually grow. They're slowing down a little bit. Google, I think for the first time ever, saw a reduction in ad spend. And so we're hitting a fall that is going to be totally crazy. Mind you, Facebook and Amazon ad spends have gone up, and Snapchat is not growing at the rate that they want to, but that's different than a decline. We've got the content pruning article, which I think is largely garbage, but prove me wrong. Prove me wrong with data. If you inherit a website that has a bunch of bad content, yes, you can make the article that you should get rid of it. But as I talked ad nauseum, it makes sense to me that you don't delete content that has links back to it from the internet, because all you're doing is creating broken backlinks. If there are a ton of old Facebook posts that when people click on them, it takes them to a 404 error page, that's not good. So I've got a mixed feelings about this content pruning. I'm not convinced by the data I've seen thus far. If you have created great content, how does Google not realize that it's just old content and just immediately ignore it? I don't think it's our job to clean up the internet. I think it's Google's job to sift through the mess. ADA compliance, that is a world unto itself. You should look up an ADA compliance expert to figure out what should be done on your website if that is something of interest to you. And then Instagram, making it very easy to do a fundraiser. So if that's something that you want to do, go ahead and knock that out. And then US is seriously taking some swings at TikTok. 1101, can you believe it? So much marketing is a foreign language. So much thank you to everyone who hit the like button. If you haven't already, please go ahead and do that. You know the whole song and dance. Hit the subscribe button. Did you know that we have an outro? Oh my gosh, we totally do. In 3, 2, 1. We'll see you tomorrow.